Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to be rebuilding our dice game. So revisiting the dice game that we had earlier in the earlier lessons and building out our newer version. First of all, let's update our HTML. So we're going to bring back that gameplay area so we can have a class of game area. So this is where all of the gameplay is going to take place. And we're going to rebuild the output. So we can keep this one as is. So I'm going to just simply drop that into my gameplay area. And next, I want to have two different areas, one for player 1 and one for player 2. And this is actually the button is going to sit outside. So we're going to have our role button sitting outside. So let's create a couple divs and give it a class. So I'm going to give these two the same class. And then within them, I'm going to set up a span. And then this can be the player's name, so we can call it namer. So player 1, and then closing off the span, and adding in one more span. So this is where the dice are going to be shown. So we're going to have we can give it an ID to be consistent with what we had earlier, where we had player 1, and then we have the content there, player 1. So this is where the dice are going to be visible. So we can take that and we can duplicate it and have player 2 and have an ID of player 2. So we're consistent with what we had earlier, updating some of the styles. So now that we've created some new classes, let's update some of the styles. So we can do this one as an inline block. Update the font family and font size. How about 20 pixels for the font size? Also setting up a margin. We'll set a margin of the bottom of 10 pixels. So that'll give us a little bit more spacing. We also need to add some styling for the viewer. So we want to display that inline block. So add display inline block to that so that they're both in line. Let's set a default width of 212 pixels. We can use a height, 150 pixels, and then some padding so that it's not right up to the edge. Let's refresh that, see what that looks like. Let's update our output because it's sitting within there. So we need to make this wider, so 450. And we can get rid of the margin bottom for this one as well. So try that out. And we'll do a button width of 450 now that our output area is 450 as well. And we can get rid of our styling for these players. So now when we refresh it, we have a nice neat interface. And then this is where we want to drop in those newly created dice elements. So I'll show you how to do that in the upcoming lesson. So this lesson was more just to style and prep our interface to be ready for the newer model, newer updated dice game version 2. So go ahead and make some changes, update your styling as well as your HTML, and you're ready to move on to the next section. And you can keep all of this dice building that we had, the event listener, and all of that functionality as we're simply going to be dropping it in visually into those elements. So that's still coming up in the next lesson.